So good day everyone. This is the continuation of the report of Miss Claudine Castro. Dito pag-uusapan naman natin yung table 7.3 frequency distribution of group test scores, which is naka-table dito yung mga class interval, midpoint, cumulative frequency, and cumulative percentage. Paano nga ba makukuha ito? So dito titignan natin kung paano nakuha yung bawat tables. So sabi dito, apparently the data presented in table 7.1, kung naalala nyo yung present ni Miss Claudine na table 7.1 at the 7.2 have been condensed as a result of grouping of scores. So table 7.3 illustrates a group frequency distribution of test scores. So the wide range of scores listed in table 7.2 has been reduced to 12 class intervals with an interval size of 5. So kung nakikita nyo yung table, 5 kada pangalan nito. Interval size niya is 5, which is 20, magsimula ka sa 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So bali pataas siya, 5 lahat ng class interval niya. So dito, next, let us consider again cumulative percentage in 5th row of the class interval of 55 to 59, which is 87. So we say that 87% of the students got a score below 60. So dito sa second column naman, enters the midpoints of test scores. So nakita nyo sa mid column yung midpoint niya ng test scores, yung pinaka-mid nung 5 na class intervals. Kunyari, nasa baba 20 to 24, 21, 22, 23, 24, o ano ba yung midpoint nun? No? Siyempre, makikita mo dito yung midpoint niya is 22. So dito, sabi, by the term itself, midpoint cannot be made the most score, which is halfway between the exact limits of the interval. In table 7.3, the class midpoint of class interval 60 to 64 is 62. Ito yung example niya. 60 to 64, yung midpoint niya is 62. So the exact limits of this interval is 59. 5, 60, 0.5 as the lower limit, and 64.5 is the upper limit. So when data in table 7.2 have been condensed to appear simpler. So alam nyo naman na yung report ni Claudine na table 7.2. So dito, following are some convention in presenting test data group in frequency distribution. So as much as possible, the size of the class intervals should be equal. So class intervals that are multiples of 5, 10, or 100, etc. are often desirable. So at times, when large gaps exist in the data, unequal class intervals are used. So such as intervals may cause inconvenience in the preparation of graphs and computation of certain descriptive statistical measures. So the following formula can be useful in estimating the necessary class interval. So there are many types of graphs, but the frequency distribution are the following. So more common methods as graphing one is punta tayo sa different kinds of graphs na pwede mong gamitin sa pagkukuha ng test score. So dito, ang unang pag-usapan natin is histogram. So ano nga ba yung histogram? So histogram is a type of graph appropriate for quantitative. So dito, histogram consists of colloference that represents one class interval, and its height represents the number of observation of simply frequency in that class interval. So hindi naman na kayo aware naman na kayo sa histogram na to. So there are statistics software that are available to help construct histograms. Their forms of more important than longhand procedures in constructing histogram. So how to pull information from the graph. So kung makita nyo yung figure dito, ito yung example ng histogram. Makita mo dito yung kung ano yung na-observe mo sa mga nakuha mong test scores, naka-label siya per number, and then diyan makikita mo may bumaba, may tumaas, may bumaba, and then tumaas. So dito, the graph was automatically generated with the use of statistical software in this case. So dito gumamit ng dito sa pag-usapan natin is SPSS. So hindi naman ay parang luma na para sa modern teachers ngayon yung SPSS na tinatawag, yung Statistical Package for Social Sciences, kasi ang kadalasang ginagamit na nila is yung Excel, which is aware naman na kayo sa Excel as a future educator. So basic steps in SPSS application include the following. So dito pag-usapan pa din natin yung SPSS. So sabi dito yung step 1 is open the data editor window. It is understood the data has already been entered into the data editor. So habang binabasa tong steps na to, mas magandang pumunta sa na lang sa YouTube or ano kung paano gumamit ng SPSS. At saka kung paano din gumamit ng Excel kasi halos magkapareho lang sila pero mas modernize yung tinatawag nating Excel. So dito may step 2 on the menu bar, click analyze, then go to descriptive statistics, then to frequencies. This brings up the frequencies dialog box as seen below. So sa SPSS makakagawa ka ng different graphs by just clicking or proper steps na nasusunod dito sa sinabing mga steps. So sabi dito, there above image the data editor. In the next line of the image, you see this is row on file, edit, data, transform, analyze, and then graphs. So magkakasunod-sunod na yung per step na yun. Tapos step 3, to make histogram na kung paano gawin yung histogram. So open the data editor. So on the menu bar, click on graphs. So makikita mo dito yung mga graphs, and then pipiliin mo kung ano yung gusto mong graph, kung histogram o bar graphs or any kinds of graphs, depende yun sa choice mo. Dito makikita mo yung image dito, ito yung example ng SPSS na habang pinaprocess mo siya or ginagawa mo siya. So sabi dito, after you have click OK, you may also try to organize the data using your knowledge in Excel. So the following web references dito ay mapag-usapan natin yung Excel. So the following web references can be useful for those who have never used SPSS. So dito makikita natin yung mga different references dito na maging useful kung paano gamitin yung SPSS na tinatawag. So there are madami pang mga access or mga websites or ano, pero ang pinakamadali na lang dito para madali mong matutunan is mag-YouTube ka na lang. So dito next naman is the frequency polygon. So makita nyo dito para siya, yung frequency polygon naman na tinatawag is linya lang siya, linya, and then ay dadatan mo lang kung saan ay anong point yung nakuha mong observation or thesis scores, maglalagay ka lang ng dot, and then guguhitan mo siya, which is makakabuo ka ng isang polygon or any kinds of draw. So dito, this also used for quantitative data and is one of the most commonly used methods in presenting thesis scores. So commonly used daw tong frequency polygon sa pagpe-present ng thesis score. So makikita nyo dito yung example ng frequency polygon. On the next naman, so in a frequency polygon, you have lines across the scores in the horizontal axis, and then each point in the frequency polygon represents two numbers which are the score in the horizontal axis and the frequency on the class interval in the vertical axis. So dapat nakatapat yung nakuha mong thesis score sa horizontal axis na number and then sa vertical axis na number na correct. Tapos pagdudugtungin mo lang, and then makaka-draw ka ng frequency polygon. So nandito yung mga steps. So how to construct frequency polygon. So dito sabi, locate the midpoint on the top of each bar. Bear in mind that height of each bar represents the frequency in each class interval, and the width of the bar is the class interval. As such, that point in the middle of each bar actually the midpoint of the class interval. So in the histogram on figure, there are two spaces without bars. In such case, the midpoint falls on the so sabi dito, halos magkapareho lang naman yung histogram tsaka frequency polygon, pero mas madaling i-present yung frequency polygon. So dito makikita nyo yung pinagkaiba and then parehas nung frequency polygon and then the bar graph. So yung frequency polygon dyan, yun yung guhit, and then the bar graphs, histogram I mean. So dito makita mo yung histogram, yun yung mga bars na naka-draw, and then yung frequency polygon, yun yung guhit. So sabi dito, frequency polygons can also be drawn independently without drawing histograms. So like what I've said before, makaka-draw ka ng frequency polygon without making histograms. So yun lamang po yung aking report. Ipagpapatuloy po ni Mr. Jonathan yung susunod na mga graphs. Thank you and God bless.